Well, we're now officially halfway through the 5th season of Fargo, and the pacing of this season is one that's definitely staying true to itself. It's not really revealing much, and it's kind of stewing away and simmering the story as it looks set to utilize all 10 of those episodes before serving the reward up on a plate. With the episode being titled The Tiger, and it being named after what Ole Monk referred to Dorothy as following their encounter in the opening episode. Let's dig into episode 5 and explain all that there was to take away from it. Here is Fargo Season 5, Episode 5, Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Lorraine Lyon. One thing that I found particularly interesting in this episode was Lorraine Lyon's involvement. The episode pretty much opened with her, and she had several appearances throughout the runtime, more so than any other time that we'd seen her before. We saw her encounter with Vivian Duggar and her looking to acquire a bank, her meeting with Roy Tillman, which had a lot of value within it, and also her decision making to get Dorothy sectioned. Let's take a look at these individually. The first one that we saw was her meeting with Vivian in order to acquire the bank that they owned. The two businessmen that were sat opposite her were expecting to be meeting a man, and were surprised when Lorraine sat down opposite them and not only had the attitude and mindset that she had, but also that she did the research in order to back them into a corner and essentially make it impossible for them to walk away from the offer that she was putting forward. This was because if they did, then the authorities would be on their case due to her making them aware of what they were up to. This felt like it was all about showing us the power that Lorraine had, but also the opposition to the belief and mindset that the characters have in the show, where women are almost below men. We saw this when Vivian called Lorraine Lady, as a way of trying to emphasize the message that he viewed her as just a woman, and that she couldn't speak to him like that, something which she ended up taking personally and had a consequence of her knocking $10 million off of her offer. With them being left there with their mouths wide open, they didn't expect to be met with such ferocity and them not being able to get a woman to back down, something that it seemed like they were often able to achieve. This was something which we saw also carried over when Lorraine met Roy Tillman. Roy Tillman is pretty much the complete opposite to Lorraine when it comes to his beliefs. We heard him say phrases such as "a woman obeys her man" and how the Bible says that a wife is the property of the husband. This showed us that she was in the same situation that she was in when she met Vivian earlier, but this time on a grander scale, because he was outright disregarding a woman's place in society and the right to be themselves. Bear in mind he did this to her face. So we saw two opposites sitting across from one another, but the similarity being their strong mindset and unwillingness to back down. Lorraine found out about Dot's true identity, yet she turned to what she always had to offer, cash, in order to buy Tillman's silence. Something which he declined as he'd rather have Nadine back, saying to Lorraine that she was that kind of person, meaning somebody that just turns to money in order to keep people silent. So I wonder if this was hinting towards something else that she might have done in the past. With Roy saying, "I'll see you again, but not in the way you're expecting," it shows that there's definitely more to come with Roy and Lorraine. They're similar in their attitude and their power-hungry nature, but their beliefs are something which separate them massively. They're both two dangerous individuals that are sat opposite each other. With this episode being called The Tiger, and us hearing a narrator speaking over scenes with Dorothy like it was some kind of nature documentary, it got me thinking. Lorraine's surname is Lyon, and Dorothy is referred to as the Tiger. So I wonder if it's a play on the whole who would win in a fight, a lion or a tiger? A question that's often asked when it comes to wondering which cat species is superior. Both are extremely strong, powerful hunters and in their own right are fierce, but we don't often see them up against each other. Dorothy and Lorraine are both strong in different ways, and it made me think that the selection of the surname of Lion and Dorothy's description as Tiger could be purposefully chosen for that reason. Dorothy. Within this episode, we learned a little bit more about Dorothy, but not a ton. The show is still keeping a lot close to its chest. We still don't know much of her origin and how she came to be in the situation where she escaped the Tillman ranch, but we got pieces to the puzzle. We saw in episode 1 of the show that she was a well-skilled fighter, but in this episode that was something that was reiterated when she fought the two people that tried to take her into the hospital on the grounds of being a danger to herself and others. She harmed those two workers, another worker in the hospital, and she also managed to devise a plan to get Tillman's men to not take Wayne out of the hospital, because they planned on essentially kidnapping him as leverage. Plus, she also managed to escape the facility with nobody catching her off guard. Right at the end of the episode, we saw that she visited Olmstead's house, where she asked if she'd be able to look after Scotty whilst she had something to do. I think this something could be her trying to put the whole Roy Tillman situation to bed. We know that Tillman's men took the man in the hospital because they thought that he was Wayne. Whilst she didn't get on with that guy, I don't think she'll just let him suffer or die because of her decision. So she might be doing something in order to get him rescued. Plus, we also saw her say to Wayne that he should stay in the bathroom with the door locked until she returned. So that's probably something that's top of her list of things to do too. There was an interesting moment where she mentioned how she was 15 when she was taken in by Tillman and 17 when she got married. We also heard that she was Roy's second wife when he was speaking to Lorraine, so that makes me wonder what happened to his first wife, the one that was presumed missing in last week's episode, so I feel we're going to be learning more about that. Maybe Dot saw what happened to her, and that could be the reason why she left. Dot also said a line which was, "They never hit you when they're strong, it's only when they're weak." I think this could be leaning into some kind of abusive cult that Tillman was heading up, and that could be another reason as to why Dorothy wanted to escape at the first chance that she got. We don't know the details as of yet, so hopefully we'll find out exactly what happened soon. Olmstead was willing to take in Scotty for Dorothy, a missing person from a wanted fugitive, in order to allow her to do what she needed to do. Prior to accepting the offer, we heard her say that she was an officer of the law and that she couldn't do that, but she ultimately changed her mind, showing that she believed in Dorothy's story and there was something far worse going on. Olmstead's husband is a bit of a loser, and it felt like his presence was the very thing that made her change her mind. Overall review. I thought this episode was pretty good. It was quite slow in terms of the development of the plot, and there was no Ola Monk, something which was a shame as he's one of the more interesting parts of this season of the show. The mystery around him is something which makes you want to know more, and the almost haunting presence and aura that he has is enjoyable to watch on screen. It's quite refreshing. I really want to know why Dorothy escaped Tillman's grasp in around 2009, and why she was willing to be perceived as being somebody that was dead rather than going back there. There's still so many other layers to the story which are going to be exposed, such as everything shady that Tillman gets up to when he's on his own land. We know that there's arms that have gone missing and that the feds are onto him, but that's also another part of the story that hasn't had much focus. But I feel we're going to be getting all of that revealed to us when we find out why it was that Dorothy left, as it will connect both arms of the plot that's developing. The next episode looks set to have a main focus on Ola Monk, which is something that I'm glad to see. He's just as mysterious as every other character and developing story in the show, but considering we're now in the latter half of the season, I feel we'll start to get some of these answers. Bring on the next episode. So, there you have it. Fargo Season 5, Episode 5, Ending Explained. If you want to see more videos on Fargo, then click on the card in the top corner. I've been covering the entirety of Season 5. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. What did you think of this episode? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.